Regular meeting for the Community Redevelopment Agency for Tuesday, October 28th, 2025 will come to order. Please join me on silencing your cell phone. Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Member Perrine?
Here.
Member McGurk?
Here.
Member Ashley?
Here.
Vice Chair Martin? Here. Chair Cleveland?
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. We will begin with public participation. And so if there are any members who wish to speak on matters pertinent to the city, specifically the CRA, please come and approach the podium. You'll have 3 minutes to be heard. It's a monologue, not a dialogue. We just want to hear what you have to say. We won't be answering questions. And if there's need to follow up, the city clerk and the city manager will follow up with you directly. Anyone for public participation?
Just regular public participation, just nothing to do with anything else?
For the CRA, Audra. And then there'll be another one for the regular meeting at 6:30. And when you come up, just your name and address for the record, please.
Good evening. I'm Karen Francis from 261 Minorca Beach Way. CRAs were established under Florida statute as local tools to revert blight, revitalize neighborhoods, and improve quality of life, offering funds for infrastructure, roads, drainage, and public spaces. The CRA of NSB has goals that include constructing and improving public facilities such as stormwater remediation, pedestrian safety, streets and roadways, and sewer installation, providing and improving recreational facilities such as parks and playgrounds, housing revitalization, including the development of affordable housing. And then we have Merck's Bar and Grill, a thriving and successful and delightful private business, requesting $61,698 for their parking lot painting replacement doors. A reminder that Merck's were awarded $20,000 in 2011, I think for possibly bathroom renovations. You could argue, I guess, that Merck's does improve the quality of life, certainly for its patrons, but what about the rest of the community? The rest of the community is more passionate about stormwater and flooding and affordable housing. And so I would encourage you to think about what the residents want. We want our community to be better. We love private businesses, but we do not need to be giving large sums of money to very successful private businesses. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen. Appreciate your comments. Anyone else for public participation? Seeing none, public participation is now closed. We'll move on to the consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve the minutes from the 9 September meeting?
So moved.
And a motion?
Second.
And a second. Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Member Perrine?
Yes.
Member McGurk?
Yes.
Member Ashley?
Yes.
Vice Chair Martin?
Yes.
Chair Cleveland?
Yes, so the minutes are adopted. We'll move on to new business. This is to consider the approval of a community redevelopment agency for the city of New Smyrna Beach large-scale commercial facade improvement, a 50-50 matching grant in the amount of $61,698 to Robert Coven, the president of International Brew Incorporated, operating as Merck's Bar and Grill, located at 193 North Causeway. I see Director Bergeron is here, our economic development director. We're anxious for your report, ma'am.
Thank you kindly. Before we get into this specific application, I just wanted to take a moment, if you don't mind, and just talk a little bit about what is a CRA and what is the community redevelopment area in the district and how does it work. So under Florida law, Chapter 163, Part 3, local governments can create community redevelopment areas, or CRAs, when certain conditions exist. We went through the finding of necessity, which is a formal study that documents the specific blight conditions. In this slide, I have examples of what those conditions can be, but they're not limited to substandard or deteriorating structures, inadequate infrastructure, lack of parking areas, and poor lot layout. If the finding of necessity determines that the required conditions exist, then the local government may create a CRA. Since Volusia County is a charter county, the city must also have the county's approval prior to establishing the CRA. Once the CRA is established, improvements are funded by taking any new property tax revenues from the city and county above the base level that was being collected at the time the CRA was created, which is 2015, and they reinvest them back directly into the CRA. This tax increment can be used together with grant monies, private investment to redevelop and revitalize the area. CRAs are approved for a set of time period, and thereafter all property tax dollars revert back to the respective taxing authorities. These are some of the examples of the different, per the Florida statute, of the conditions that can support the creation of a CRA. And then we also have our redevelopment plan. And in our plan, yes, we do have stormwater. You saw those that are budgeted. We have improvements in beautification and infrastructure at our airport and along major areas within the CRA this year. In addition, we are allowed to provide facade grants for property improvement grants. That's part of what a CRA does. It helps to invigorate private investment into our property areas that are inside the CRA district. And that is what you're seeing tonight. So what is tax increment financing, or TIF, as we like to call it? It's a unique tool available to cities and counties for redevelopment activities. It's used to leverage public funds to promote private sector activity in the targeted area. The dollar value of all real property in the community redevelopment area is determined at a fixed rate, also known as the frozen value. Taxing authorities which contribute to the tax increment continue to receive property tax revenues based on the frozen value. These frozen value revenues are available for general government purposes. However, any tax revenue from increase in real property value, referred to as increment, are deposited into the Community Redevelopment Agency Trust Fund and dedicated to the redevelopment area. So any funds received as a tax increment financing area must be used for specific redevelopment purposes in the targeted area as our plan states, and as also delegated with the authority that we receive from Volusia County. They're not for general government purposes. TIF is also, please note, not any additional tax. So how does it work, really? So let's say, for example, in the CRA district, the taxes that were collected in 2014 were $100. That's our frozen value, or our base year. And today in 2025, the property taxes are $110. The difference is $10. That $10 multiplied by 95%, because that's typically what we receive back, would be $9.50 placed into the CRA trust fund over time, that also grows and adds interest to that fund. Those funds can be used to leverage public funds to promote private sector activity in the targeted area. So again, that's Florida Statute 163, Part 3. Also look at Volusia County Resolution 2014-164 that was also revised in 2020-161, and our approved CRA master plan, which allows for facade grants. And for our current CRA, funds in the CRA Trust Fund may be utilized on private property for facade grants and property improvement grants, as well as our publicly owned capital projects, of which we have about $7 million of publicly owned capital projects this year. This is basically how the process works when we created the CRA. I remember I was at the Chamber of Commerce back in 2012 when we started this process of the finding of necessity and the plan, and it takes a very long time to develop the area and get all of that approved and come back with the plan and the report from the finding of necessity. And then from that, you develop the plan. And once you get the delegation of authority, then you could have the go-ahead to go ahead and create establish the CRA, the Community Redevelopment Agency, as well as the trust fund. And there's more information on redevelopment.net. If any of the readers or anyone watching would like to visit that website, they're more than welcome. So this is our CRA district or area, and it's basically the spine of US 1. It does include, of course, the airport, the industrial area out on Teonia, downtown, historic West Side, and there are bits and pieces that actually go out 44 and include like the former Kmart building and some of those areas. And the reason you see some of those pockets is because some of those were when the CRA was established in 2014, those areas were still belong to the county. Since then, some may have been annexed, but because they're not in the original CRA boundary, they are not allowed to be part of the CRA today. So for these grants, the small grant and the large-scale grant, the CRA board and the city commission approved this programs back in April of 2021, as well as the other grants that we have for the Adaptive Reuse Opportunity Grant and the Historic Grant. And to date, since I've been here the last year, we have 12 grants running. We have Air Specialists, or the Davis Brothers Air Conditioning. We have DeLegal Ltd, Blue Orange Holdings, which was the Ace Hardware we just did the ribbon cutting for, Ronan Sushi Bar, Crown Assisted Living, Looking Good Properties, which is at 312 Mary, Wayne Gonzalez at 622 Canal Street, Black Heritage Historic Museum, the Lou Collective on Live Oak Street, New Smyrna Beach Chiropractic Clinic, and the Magnolia. Those are the current running grants that we have open at this time. These are the eligibility requirements that were approved back in April of 2021. So the eligibility is that it's a commercial or industrial property located within that CRA district, which is the map that I had up before, has to submit a completed application, and 3 estimates from licensed contractors. Eligible businesses include, I have the list here. The exterior improvements that are eligible are listed on this slide, as well as in the packet of the CRA guidelines. And this brings us to our CRA applicant this evening, which is Merck's Bar and Grill. As I stated before, on April 13th, 2021, the CRA Board and City Commission approved the program guidelines for the small-scale commercial facade property improvement grant program, the large-scale commercial facade property improvement grant program, and the adaptive reuse opportunity grant program. The large-scale commercial facade property improvement program is designed to encourage desired and value-added exterior commercial facade and property improvements within the targeted area of the program. There is a cap per eligible applicant up to $100,000. To be eligible for a full $100,000 grant award, the applicant must provide documented proof of at least $200,000 on completed CRA grant-related commercial facade property improvement work items. For this grant request before you this evening, the CRA Board is considering an award of a large-scale commercial facade property improvement grant in the amount of $61,698 to Bob Colvin, president of Merck's Bar and Grill, for exterior improvements including resurfacing the parking lot, drainage improvements, replace exterior doors, install new exterior signage, install new security cameras, and paint the exterior of the building. The total estimated costs are expected to be $123,396. The applicant has submitted all the required documentation and the 3 quotes by licensed Florida contractors to perform the above work. And the applicant is in the audience if anyone has any questions this evening.
And that's your report?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you so much. Any comments or questions from my colleagues? Mr. Martin?
I may have misheard. Did you say some interior work for this?
No, ma'am.
Okay, then I misheard. And and this is a question, are the townhouses, I see the townhouses that are being built next to Island Roasters are in the CRA district. Have they received any CRA money?
So those are not commercial properties, those are residential properties, and they would not be eligible, and they did not apply nor approach me about that.
Anything more? No, anything more from you?
No, I'm still
Okay, very
thinking
good.
it through.
Okay, Commissioner Ashley.
Yeah, I have a question about the CRA in general. Does it take time to build up the fund once you open it? So you don't immediately start giving grants because there's nothing there, right?
Correct. I went back through, I was looking through some research after I'd received some questions, and This CRA was established in 2015, but the grant program didn't start until 2017, and they had about $100,000 total to give away for grants.
Okay. Is there a profitability eligible requirement? Is there a rule that says if you're a profitable business, you can't do it?
No, sir, there's no financial criteria in the application
And
process.
Is it a first come, first serve application process? Is that how it works?
Yes, sir, it's a first come, first serve as long as money's hold out. For
Right.
example, the last year we ran out about in April.
Okay. So
Yes.
every year it's renewed based on the tax base?
Yes, sir, as long as the CRA board and city commission approve the budgets, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Perrine.
To go off of Commissioner Ashley, how much dollar-wise funds do we have left in that account for this year?
So if this particular style grant with large scale, we budgeted $600,000, and this would be the first one that it was come before you tonight for this particular criteria.
With the ongoing grants that we have in the net balance, what's left over
So
for
the
2025?
The total in the budget, I believe, was about $2 million. There is a caveat in the resolution that we received from the county. The county does not want any of their portion that they contribute to be used for facade grants, and only half for any capital project. It has to be 50% county and 50% city. So we balance that very carefully so that we stay within that boundary.
I received a lot of unusual emails on this one, not like normal, and some were from residents saying, why don't we spend money on people behind Mercs for stormwater versus helping with this? And it's not one and the same. And that's a different budget. We budget strictly to help the businesses and commercial properties, and this map was drawn back in 2014, is that what you said?
Yes.
And a lot of people want to know if that map will ever be redrawn, but it's a laborious process that costs a lot of money. So you're not looking to see that map being redrawn anytime soon, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am, that is correct. And the reason being is under Florida Statute 163, Part 3, if we wanted to go to the county and ask for a change in our boundaries to expand the boundaries, we would have to start over, and we would be on a very short time limit. So the finding of necessity that I went into detail, the study would have to be complete. We'd have to throw the CRA completely out and start over. And I'm afraid that the county council will, at this time, as well as our Florida legislation, would probably not grant us a new CRA.
And for the record, too, I had a couple of businesses ask why they couldn't apply, but they never annexed into the city. And they're right on West Canal, right in the thick of city limits, but they are still annexed county. So they didn't contribute into the fund, so they can't get anything back out of the fund. So it's really important that you be annexed into the city limits.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner McGurk.
Thank you, Mayor. Hi, Sam.
Hi.
Thank you for the presentation. I think I have an idea how CRA works, but I just want to clarify. When CRA starts, there is no money in the pot, correct? So you have to have increases in the ad valorem tax revenue. In other words, an increase in the properties in the CRA to actually start funding it. And it takes a lot of time to start funding that because it's not like a lot of money goes in. So the idea of a CRA is to help a blighted area. But that's not to say that there aren't going to be successful individual properties within a CRA.
You're right.
Correct? The CRA would never get any money put into the pot if it only had blighted properties in it anyway, because the blighted or the worst case scenarios, that is the primary focus of a CRA, they're not really going to increase much in value, which would mean the CRA never gets funded.
You're absolutely correct.
Okay. So this business, while successful, is in the CRA.
Yes.
It has since 2012 contributed, or this business has contributed to the CRA fund with its property.
Yes.
Now, they're going to make improvements to the property, which are going to be recognized on the property appraiser's website. And
Yes.
not website, but recognized by the property appraiser. So that in itself is going to increase the value of the property, the ad valorem tax revenue, which will then go back into the CRA.
Yes.
Okay. So it's not a perfect system, but in this case, it is a benefit for the whole,
Yes.
the whole CRA.
Yes.
But the property before they ask for money, and then when they get money, they're going to get money. The increase in value is going to go up, and that money increase is going to then go back into the CRA.
Correct.
Okay.
You're absolutely correct. So if you looked at the Bowman Center on South Dixie, the property value before they made the changes, before they received the CRA grant and what it is now, you're going to see a big difference in the valuation of that property. And the tax proceeds from that go back into the city and the county coffers.
And the Bowman Center property was, you can argue, pretty blighted.
Yes.
And it certainly wasn't contributing much to the CRA. So while this property won't contribute as much, they all work together to help the overall whole of this concept. Thank you,
So
Sam.
currently, this particular property that we're discussing this evening pays about $9,000 annually in property taxes. So, they are a big contributor for our property taxes. Now, that's all the taxes. That's not just New Smyrna Beach, but that is all the taxes that they pay.
Thank you.
Sam, a couple of questions. Just listening to at least one resident from a perspective of colors of money. Just for clarity, could this money be used to improve stormwater preparedness in our city?
Not the portion that we've set aside for facade grants, no. Once it's set of where it's going to go, that's how it's has to be used.
Got it. Could it be used to, in residential areas or low-income areas to fix up residents?
Not for residents, no.
Okay. Is there a disqualifier, in your professional opinion? Is there any reason that you've seen through your research? Is this gilding the lily? In other words, is the parking lot fine and they're just adding something to it, or is the parking lot messed up?
I personally went and walked the parking lot, and these are my pictures that I took. The parking lot is in need of some pretty major renovations and repairs.
Okay, good enough. And do you have a personal recommendation?
I do have a personal recommendation. The staff recommends approval.
Okay, thank you. Any follow-ups? Yes, ma'am.
Refresh my memory, the $8.5 million on the bottom line, is that for economic development and CRA or just CRA money?
So our total CRA budget for this fiscal year is about $10 million.
Okay.
And so about 7 of that is for capital projects, some are which are stormwater related, and the other 2 and so are $2 million is for new CRA facade grants, and then there are some that roll over that were approved last year or the year before that are rolling over that had to be extended.
How is it decided? Again, my memory, perhaps this is clear to others, what the division between facades and how many different divisions are there for grants?
That's it, right there. Eligible exterior improvements only those items.
But you mentioned that there is another one that's not facade.
Are there different, I think your question is, are there different types of grants?
There's
other than
different types of
50/50?
grants. So there's large scale, small scale, the adaptive reuse. And then remember there are, the board also approved the historic preservation grants for not-for-profits. So you'll see something like that later in this meeting.
Do they all go into the same pool of money? But you said that there was a limit, for example, on facade. I think you said 600,000.
For the large scale. So
And-
each was itemed.
How is it decided how much money will be set aside for which grant program?
I looked at what interest that we had. Currently, I am working with about 60 different businesses of grants that would total $6.6 million. So, and the different caveats and restriction that we have with our agreement with the county, with our declaration of being able to create the CRA. So I take all that into account and what I think that we can reasonably approve and manage and get interest in and receive applications for is what,
Okay, so you
based on-
decide how
based
to
on
set aside
historical.
which
Yes.
ones, right? Um, Again, curiosity, we're looking at the increased property tax for the, let's go Davis Air Conditioning. Have we looked at the impact of property tax on the surrounding areas? You know, if the CRA is to lift an entire area, did the 7-Eleven next to them get an increase in property value that would go into the city? Because as I understand it, the increase in property, you talked about like the base year at $100, goes back into CRA. None of the increase in property tax would go to the general fund. It goes all into CRA, as I understand
Correct.
it.
That's by Florida statute.
Okay.
Yes.
Just being
And
sure I
remember,
understand.
it's only 95%, and then the county portion is 95% of 95%. So it's less than with the city portion.
Absolutely. Okay.
Any other follow-ups?
But, yeah, no, I didn't know if they looked at the taxes on the
yeah,
surrounding
okay.
properties. I asked. but I
Yes,
didn't hear.
so the whole point of in the entire CRA district is that rising tide raises all ships, right?
Right.
So yes, in theory, when you have your neighbor improve their property, it helps my property too because I'm next door to that improved property.
But we haven't verified it.
But you have the valuation of the
I'm just
CRA.
asking.
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, I haven't gone the research of exactly each property individually next door to them, but I can. It's just, it's a lot of calculations
No, I'm
for
sure it
one
is.
year over the next.
And I'm not asking it
But-
to be done. I
but-
just wanted to know if it was ever part of the decision-making process in the
Well, it is, and
CRA.
it's part of how we get the CRA approved in the beginning, back in 2014 when we got it approved, is to show that, yes, it does, they are proven CRAs across the state of Florida and other states, that they do help improve and increase property values overall within the district. Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Ashley?
One last question. This is a reimbursement program, correct?
Yes,
So the business has to spend the money first, then get money later, get
Yes, sir.
reimbursed? Okay.
yes, sir. So it's 50-50 matching, so that's why they only get half of it back. And remember that there is an agreement that goes with this, that they have to perform all of these items that are in the agreement. And then there's caveats. If they don't do it, they may or may not be eligible for the reimbursement when they're completely done. There's also a caveat in there. If they sold the property within 5 years, they would have to pay the money back.
Thank you very much. Very good.
Is there a motion to approve the CRA large-scale commercial facade grant 50/50 for the property at 193 North Causeway?
I'll make that
It's a
motion.
motion and a second. Any more discussion, any follow-up? Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Member McGurk,
Yes.
Member Ashley,
Yes?
Vice Chair Martin,
No.
Member Perrine,
Yes.
Chair Cleveland.
Yes, the motion carries. Let's move on to item 5B, the CRA Historic Commercial Preservation or Not-for-Profit Grant of 50/50 matching application in the amount of $20,598 for the New Smyrna Beach Garden Club to enhance the landscaping and additional learning opportunities, a building located at 2000 Turnbull Bay Road. Continue, Sam, if you would.
Thank you kindly. On August 8th, 2023, the Community Redevelopment Agency Board and City Commission approved the Historic West Side Preservation and Not-for-Profit 50/50 Matching Grant Program and guidelines for eligible exterior improvements. February of 2025, the CRA met the obligation of Volusia County to only focus on US 1 and Historic West Side neighborhood. Now these grants can be applied to the entire CRA district. The current building occupied by the New Smyrna Beach Garden Club was built and donated in 1988 by John DeBerry on land lease from the city of New Smyrna Beach. At this location, the New Smyrna Beach Garden Club provides educational programs, actions of conservation, civic improvement, and partners with local community partners and goals for restoring, improving, and protecting the quality of the environment. The applicant is looking to add a butterfly garden, a microforest, all the walkways that you see in yellow with pavers, and additional landscaping to enhance their educational programs that they do with kids in our community. The total cost of the project is $41,195.94. The 2025-2026 budget for Historic Westside Preservation and not-for-profit 50/50 matching grant program is $100,000. This particular grant application amount, the 50/50 match, would be $20,598 for the New Smyrna Beach Garden Club. Staff recommends approval for this particular grant, and the Garden Club members are here in the audience if anyone has any questions.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from my colleagues? Very good. Excellent. I see the president of the Garden Club's here with her team, so thank you all for what you do for our city. Appreciate that. I would entertain a motion to approve the Historical Commercial Preservation for Not-for-Profit Grant,
So
50/50, in the amount of $20,598 for the Garden Club.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Member Ashley,
Yes.
Vice Chair Martin,
Yes.
Member Perrine,
Yes.
Member McGurk,
Yes.
Chair Cleveland.
Yes, thank you very much. Appreciate that. On to item 5C. It's an extension of the Delegale LTD Large-Scale Commercial Facade Improvement Grant at 1311 North Dixie Freeway. We're anxious to hear what's going on there. Director Bergeron, what have you got?
Thank you kindly. DeLegal LTD entered into an agreement with the Community Redevelopment Agency on February 27, 2024, with a large-scale facade/property improvement grant for decorative exterior facade improvements, exterior doors and windows, parking lot improvements, professional design assistance, exterior lighting, and fencing. The CRA Economic Development Director granted an extension on September 11th, 2024. The redevelopment of this property has been challenging for the owners. They went through 3 different architects before finally receiving drawings. The permits were submitted in February of 2025, and all the permits were approved in April of 2025. The stairs, ADA lift, the elevator, and mechanical inspections required additional drawings and work and had to be inspected again. The final grant-related scope of work items, the parking lot improvements, and the fence are a little behind due to the rain delays that we had at the time when I was putting this agenda packet together. As of October 14th, the owners are close to the COs on the property. They have one, they're just waiting on 2 more. The owners are respectfully requesting an extension to complete the parking lot improvements and fencing as per the agreement. And just a side note, as per the way that these guidelines are set up, the director can extend 240 days. We can do that in-house, but any more days beyond that, we have to come to the CRA board for approval. So I am before you this evening for additional approval. They are very close to having those 2 final CEOs. The owners, Dennis and Cherie, are in the audience this evening if you have any questions for them, but the staff recommendation is for approval.
Thank you, ma'am. Questions from my colleagues, Commissioner McGurk.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to say that this property, since it was purchased, there has been a tremendous turnaround. This is old Ford dealership that sat there vacant for the better part of a decade or so, and I'm just glad to see that it's progressing as well as it has, and certainly going to extend the courtesy of an extension. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? The chair would entertain a motion for the extension, to approve the extension of this grant at 1311 North Dixie Freeway.
So
So-
move.
Second.
Motion and a second. Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Vice Chair Martin,
Yes.
Member Perrine,
Yes.
Member McGurk,
Yes.
Member Ashley,
Yes.
Chair Cleveland.
Yes.
Thank you.
Motion carries. And is there any follow-up on communications or reports that you want to add?
The only thing I have for you this evening is just a brief kind of story and information for anyone at home who's watching or anyone who would want to watch later. We do have the information is on our website about CRAs and how they operate, as well as all of these resolutions which created the CRA and information about our CRA facade grants. If anyone is interested, anyone in the CRA district that has a commercial property that is looking to do some exterior improvements that's interested can certainly contact me and apply.
Sam, thank you for all your great work and pushing up the economic indicators of our city. Appreciate all that you do. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Is there other business? Seeing none, we're adjourned. We'll reconvene at 6:50 in 5 minutes.